being a Marine is the number one. You know, you're that. They train hard, you're the best. And I want to be a part of the best. You know, if given the opportunity, I will succeed. And that's all you ask for as an African-American, colored, whatever you want to call it at this point in time. But back then, knowing that what I grew up with, being a person of dark skin, that is going to be hard. So you had to be the best that you could be. So I joined, I felt the best. My name is Arthur C. Jarrett. I am 75 years old. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, the Mid-South, in April of 1947. But growing up in the South, was segregated. Jim Crow laws. I went to a segregated school. It wasn't called African American. It was called colored or Negro. My time there was from that until we moved to California. My family moved to California in September of 1962. I was 15 years old when we moved to California. Before joining the Marine Corps, I was in high school. The recruiters came to the high school, but they gave a test. At that time, you know, when you turn 18, which I had turned 18, you had to join the selective service. You had to sign up. But they came, they gave a test. I scored real high on their test. And they started calling the house, wanting to join the military. Well, I just took the test to be taking the test. And I see but I was not thinking about no military. So after, it kept happening, call after call after call to different branches. And so I decided that I would go join the Marine Corps. So I joined. And you would hear things about a war, but I said, well, maybe the war won't get started. I'll be in and out instead of being drafted at a later date. So I just went on and I joined the Marine Corps. That's how it started. I was a foot soldier, if you would, but a foot Marine.
I got so many chapters.
Okay.
I stay in touch.
Yeah, right.
New Orleans, Milwaukee. In fact, I got a call yesterday just checking about the heat here. My buddy out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. When you think back to, you're going to Vietnam after I left Margarita. That's what
Oh,
we got.
you were at Margarita?
Uh-huh.
I was at Los Flores.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
To really distinguish on most memorable, they all are memorable because you may make contact, and if you make contact, then you're in a firefight. So one was when we went to the DMZ, and we were chasing the NVA, which is the North Vietnamese Army. And you could see how they carried some of their heavy artillery. They had it with the elephants and stuff like that. The demilitarized zone, which separates South Vietnam from North Vietnam at that time. And we had gone there on a particular operation. And so that's one of the most memorable because my squad, we were held up. Instead of going down one trail and set down another trail, another Marine, I thought for so many years, up until maybe 15 years ago, I always thought he was dead. But I seen him and he has a prosthesis. That would have been me. So that's memorable there. If I'd have gone down the trail, but we were held up and went down the other trail. So that's the most memorable night. But all of them were fights. And so they all like, hey, you're a foot Marine, That's what your job is. I came from the Mid-South. You knew where you stood because you were colored, or black, African American. So you knew how to handle the situation with them and not to let it escalate. You hear it and you don't hear it. But basically, my time in garrison life, I had rank. My time initially in going to war, it was different in the sense of, you got my back, we out here fighting and stuff, so no matter what your color is at that time, they like this here because you're there. All the racism sort of, it was tempered back, and they were not as outspoken, I put it that way. As I got rank, and then I made sergeant. And so that's a pretty safe rank, whereas you're in charge of X amount of people. And they're not all African American, they're white, and you're in charge of them. You tell them what to do. So they may not like it, but then again, you might go around the corner and say it, but you're not gonna say it like at one point in time what I dealt with coming up as a kid. And as initially in the Marine Corps, they would use the magic word that they like to use, the N word, which you couldn't fight, but you could have a blanket party, which is another thing that we did. In youth, especially the black youth, wants to be a basketball player, a football player, he gonna be a rapper, he gonna be all of those things. But everybody can't be that. So why don't you get an education? A key open doors. Education is the key. So, but I would say to the young Marine, go get an education from the military because you're going to get paid. See, if you're going to learn there, the apprentice part is there. You go into the outside to make the dollars, to help others, your family or whatever, if you marry or what. But the key is still education, and the military is what's there for you. I belong to the VFW, the Veteran of Foreign Wars, and they have programs. They have a lot of programs. I donate to a lot of the programs in the Veteran of Foreign Wars. That's what I'm involved with.